Happy Saturday to everyone, and we are here with week 21, and week 21 is quote of the day. So we're continuing with our writing and our inspiration with words and visual dialogues. This week we're going to go back and be inspired by the work of Sabrina Ward Harrison. We talked about her a little earlier on, and many of you went and got her books off of Amazon. So I'll make sure I put those links again for those of you who missed that or may want to. She's just an incredibly inspiring artist. She's inspired me for the last 30 years for sure. And she is on Instagram as well. So I'll make sure I put her information down below so you can go and get the real deal with her. She's just awesome. So for me, quote of the day, I decided this week my quote was, "You are given what you are willing to give away." And that came from this week's readings. And I came up somewhere in my readings. I don't even remember exactly, or was it I was listening to a podcast? I don't remember now. But I wrote it down. I immediately scribbled it down. You are given what you are willing to give away. And this is so true. I almost feel like it's some kind of like unwritten law of the universe. But anyhow, so we're going to pick an inspirational quote and design it around an art journal page around it. We will be working on that coming up shortly when we move down to the table. So when I seem to have lost focus and need more than visual inspiration, I search for one of my favorite quotes. Or in this case, I'm inspired by a quote that I'll hear, listening to something or reading, and use it as a jumping off point for working in my art journal. One of my favorite all-time quotes that I just like, it just inspires me as a creative person, is a quote by Walter Russell, who was this incredible artist, sculptor, pianist. He was a real estate magnate in New York, philosopher, just a universalist. And he passed away maybe 20 years ago at the age of like 80 or 90. So he'd been around a long time. And that was, "The beauty of a thing is in man's heart, and its usefulness is within man's comprehension. Neither of these is in the creation itself." Wow, I love that. Wow. It just goes back to our relationship to the things we create, but it comes out of a space of what's in our heart and what we're sharing in these sort of visual dialogues that others are able to comprehend. I just love that. So sometimes we need soulful inspiration, something that resonates from a deep source within our spirits, to give that boost of meaning to our work. And have you ever felt like that? Yeah, it's like you just need something deep. You know what I mean? We're not into just pretty or just doing something you just want something that really even moves your own spirit. So I believe that we can feel like this when our work has become more than a pretty picture. And when we realize that through our work, we are transmitting a more profound aspect of our emotions, right? When we move beyond it being pretty and cute and, like when we start sensing that at a deeper level, something else is happening, some other dialogue, something else is being transmitted here. And it even wakes us up to think, wow, like what is that inner part of myself even saying? So emotions that can often find difficulty being anchored in language. So when we realize we're transmitting more profound aspect of our emotions, we start realizing that this is something that's even be going beyond how we may even be using language to describe those feelings. Using our art to heal our own emotional traumas or life's happenings, and life's happenings was definitely this past year, because none of us could have even predicted, 2020. That we may still be trying to make sense of, which we all are, of course, and come to grips with, is as it should be. Now, it's funny. I wrote this a few years back, this manuscript. I flushed it out from a number of years of having used it in teachings, and never would I've anticipated that this prompt has so much to do with and be so relevant for me right now. So I'll start over. Using our art to heal our own emotional traumas or life's happenings that we may still be trying to make sense of or come to grips with is as it should be. I find that when I allow my art to speak through the depths of my being, others who resonate will also connect and respond in meaningful ways. I believe that's how we find each other along the path, and I believe vulnerability opens us up to the deeper connections in life. So allow yourself this week to dive a little deeper and be inspired through words or thoughts that you hold deep and dear, and experience what rises to the top in your art and your journaling time. So enjoy. And I always want you guys to enjoy when we're doing these prompts. So we will be sewing this book next week, and a lot of what we're going to do in the journal you can use in this book structure. So we'll be getting back to that. Just to show you all, I did go through and use a Gelli plate, and I glazed all of my pages. So you see how all of a sudden those photocopies really take on. I didn't glaze the pages that had lines and things on it because I wanted to be able to write there. But it's really crazy how they just really take on this beauty of, like, you know, painted pages. So it's just going through and just using your Gelli plate to do some of the glazing like we talked about. So we'll be sewing that next week, and any of the work that we've been doing up to this point, have added in there, and we'll continue to work, and we'll fill that journal up as we move over the weeks. I'll show you how I'm going to continue to add to it, and it just kind of becomes a secondary book that you're creating, almost book as art, secondary to your initial art journaling. And the whole point of me doing an additional project like that is for you all to start seeing how you can translate more and more of what you're doing in your journal actually to art projects, okay? Because I get that a lot too. Like, well, how do you use certain things in your art? How do you use your Gelli prints in your art? How do you use collage in your art? How do you translate what's on your journal pages into art? So I thought, let's start addressing that. We have 4 months under our belt. We've moved into our 5th month, and I think you are all at the point where if you want to add more in, you can. You can kind of, you know, get in where you fit in. If you don't want to do a whole lot extra, don't. If you just enjoy seeing the videos, do that. If you want to challenge yourself to do more, do more. You know, it's just do whatever part of it you want. So I thought I would show you all the pages. So you saw me do this, which we just put strips down, kept it simple, and I could come back and do some of the work that we're going to be doing in on the table today, being inspired by Sabrina's. That could happen on these pages. Like, you know, we talk about the 80% rule. So I did some collages, a lot of using text. I found I was really inspired by text. But I just did a lot of intuitive collaging, just going in and picking up bits of things. You know, these are some of our prints that I Gelli printed. So some of them are using this month's papers from the printables collection, along with, this is what February's, I think, the Amadeus. And here, this is an old document that was in a book from like the 1800s. These are the birth and death records, like in a person's Bible or something like that. And I printed it on onion skin. This is some of the Tim Holtz paper from a few years ago in his tissue paper. And this is what we worked on. So yeah, those are my pages. And just showing you also back here where I said I was going to come back and do things. I just finished taping a segment for Women Unleashed. It is going to be a free women's workshop online with Amber Kundalini, Honey. I might not be saying it right. Sorry, Amber. But we did this, and that'll be coming up. I'll be letting you guys know about everyone who's on my mailing list. We'll be getting a mail out. So we did this book structure with pocket inside. We had a lot of fun with it, using a lot of the Hearth Code inspiration in a book. And this little booklet, and the envelope can be glued to your journal, and you have another tuck spot. So make sure you hop on my mailing list. I will make sure that under this video I put the link so that if you want to, you know, stay up with the things that I'm doing outside of YouTube, that's a good place to do it. These two workshops that are coming up, they're two different ones. One is with Kelly Wynn Studios. They're free or at really reduced rates. I think Kelly's, there's a fee, but they're really cheap, whatever you can pay. And they're scholarships. She gives scholarships out so you don't have to pay anything. She really has a cool concept, and it's called Virtual Artist Summit. So I'll be letting you all know about those as well. But Amber's is going to come up the end of June, and that I know is at no cost, and I will be doing this. So I'll let you all know about it. So make sure you're on the mailing list if you aren't already. Okay, I think that's everything. All the housekeeping. Let's get down to the table and get to working. All right. Hi all, so we are down on the table. I have quite a day planned for us with quote of the day. I'm excited about this because I thought we would really go in and we're going to now challenge some of Sabrina Ward Harrison's style of doing the art journaling with the scripting. I think we have enough under our belt now between conversations with our younger self, working with, you know, inspired poetry, you know, our whole thing with literary inspirations. So we've been thinking a lot about words and language, our relationship to them. I'm sure you have a number of things jotted down by now, just a lot of your thoughts and different things that grabbed you from the various readings and poetry and what have you. And I thought, let's challenge ourselves to a page spread today using that style. So I've just pulled a lot of things together. I have no idea where I'm going with this because I'm challenging myself live right here with you all, just to flush this out. You know, I love her style, and I think it's very captivating. It's very expansive. I think a lot of our different styles can be wrapped up in the basic concept of the way she emotes on a page. So we're gonna have fun with that. We're going to actually sew the book next week. You see that I went through and did glazing on all of my pages, so they really have that look of a jelly printed surface now. And I only did it on the painted pages. I didn't do it on the pages with gridding and lines on them because I wanted to save those for writing. And I'm actually going to, during the week, I will continue with the Sabrina style in these pages to flush out a lot of my thoughts around this month's, you know, idea of the visual dialogue along with the written dialogue. So we'll be doing that over in Patreon. And in the meantime, I thought, let's flush this style out in our journals, because then once we do it together in the journals, you guys will be able to obviously carry that into the book. And don't worry about it. If you don't get it into the book and all you are at the place of having it like this, we're going to sew it. And it doesn't next week, and it doesn't keep you from being able to work in your journal after it's sewn. There's no problem with that. So whatever you get done, you get done. If you don't get it done, if you're still like working through your inspiration, don't worry. Let's just have the experience of making the book and having it sewn and just having this really cool book all sewn and ready to go for when you do have some inspiration around you know, language or whatever you want to put in it. So I'm going to put that to the side. I will do a flip through next week of whatever I end up doing in it over in our Patreon group. Okay, so I just wanted to flip back through some of the pages and just have a real quick go through of like some of the things that I really wanted to focus on in Sabrina's work. Well, I love this page. Just this idea of putting large, you know, bits of color, strokes of color down, and then sort of right in the white spaces, I think is really cool. We will be using gesso because I think gesso is a good way to get some white space down that you can write on. We also will be using the white Stabilo pencils. So you can also, pens. So you can use these gel pens even on the color pages. It may be in your journal or in the book. Like we could still write on these pages with the gel pen. So there's no limitation to only having to write on the one surface. Or even if you wanted to write on here, you could put a bit of gesso down, let it dry, and you know, we can do a lot of things to these pages. So, but I wanted to just point a few things out. Like I really like this page as well. So the idea of using some wrapping paper or tissue paper that may have lines or dots on it, laying that down. Here she used some color cards, like, you know, that you get when you go to the paint store, those chips. You know, just thinking about different things. It can be collaged on, some florals, you know, pictured. And then writing. She writes in pencil, in pen, in broad ink strokes. A lot of, I love this. This is a piece of fabric. We're going to use some of the different tapes. Just, you know, fun tapes. I love using these kind of tapes. I know I get the occasional comment to remind me that they're not archival. And I realize that, and you know, this is my work, art journals and things like that, and I want the freedom just to use the things I want to use. And these books will be around 50 years, 60 years, 70 years at least. Even if the tape starts getting old and crackly, you can just glue it back down. You know, I won't be here, I doubt it, you know, unless the paradigm of how long we live changes. But these are for my expression and for my fun. So don't allow this idea of archival stuff to get in the way of creation. If you're not going to be selling your stuff to a museum, or, you know, you're selling it for tens of thousands of dollars, somebody will buy a piece of art with tape glued on it for $100, $200, trust me, if they like your work, and they're not going to think about it or worry about it. So I don't allow myself to get caught up in that kind of thing. That's my German Shepherd over there barking. And you're talking about, you're getting that from somebody who has displayed their art in museum shows and gallery shows and, you know, that kind of thing. And I can tell you the stuff that artists who are working artists who are actually selling their work, and museums are putting the check mark on their work to put it up in their museums with all kind of stuff on it that would not be considered archival. So don't let it bother you, okay? Trust me. I love this page here. I love how the photographs are glued down, and then, oh, look, she's using some of the same tape and using like a date stamp. I have one up here. So using a date stamp is cool. So yeah, we're going to look through some. I love this page here. So the white with the ink, or this is actually paint, sort of spread down on it, and then the writing and what have you. So yeah, I love this. Okay, I'm back. I decided to go see what my puppy, my German Shepherd, she's just 9 months old, was doing, and somebody had come in, and so she wants you to visit with her when you come in. It's just all there is to it. So she has to have a conversation about it. So anyhow, I just put her outside so that you wouldn't hear all that barking in the background. And know that she's being treated properly. It's amazing. Sometimes the comments you get, or people being concerned that the dog is being mistreated and stuff. Like, why did people's mind go right there? You know, it always amazes me. But anyhow, she is treated very, 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 very well. So trust me, there's some people on the planet that need the same level of consideration, unfortunately. Okay, so I really liked how these pictures were taped on there. And look at the word believe. And I think I've got an extra believe up in there. Remember when I was having a problem with it being upside down? So I wanted to show you all that. Just a couple more pages so we can kind of think in terms of inspiration. If you like color blocks, big color blocks are neat. I know some of you all picked up her books. So, oh, this one. The idea of using like stamps. I know I have these stamps. I have some stamps that say fragile and things like that on it. So if you have those, I think that's just a cool way to add language to our text. And her books are always autobiographical, and it's a lot about healing the inner child in her, a lot of which she went through coming up as a little girl. You know, there was, you know, some of those kind of abuse issues and stuff like that. So a lot of her work is fleshing that out and really healing the inner child. And I just love the way she's done it. So thinking about it like that, and see, she has a big word, fragile, and then kind of like the little picture of herself down there. So I really like the way she's gone through and handled. Oh, I like her use of brown paper, so we'll be using some of that. So, okay, just wanted to remind you of some of her work. Those of you who already got some of her books, I'll put the links again on Amazon if you're inspired by that kind of work. She's actually also on Instagram, so I'll make sure that I put the links for that again. So those of you who didn't get that from the earlier video when we talked about Sabrina before, will be able to. Let me just get this out of here. I was keeping this on because it just gets so dried out, but I'm using this quite a bit now, so it's just getting messy. So let me just take that off. Alrighty. Okay, so I'm going to use, so we're just going to have fun with this. Like I said, I'm just going to go with Wild Abandon. I am not sure exactly what it's going to be, but I know it's going to be about telling my story. Now, the quote that really has inspired me this week is you are given what you are willing to give away. That's huge. And I think right now, with everything we've gone through over this last year, the pandemic and everything, you know, we just have such a range of emotions and things that we're all dealing with. Something really hit me, you know, that I'm a giver anyway. And I've always found that when I'm willing to give something away, boy, does it come back in spades. And so I'm kind of using that as an inspiration as I think back to, you know, everything that's kind of gotten me where I am today. So I have this bit of brown paper. I think what I'm going to start with is putting some gesso down. Let's just get some gesso on these pages. And just kind of spread it around. I'm going to work this pages as a page spread. I'm not going to work them separately because, first of all, I don't think it's enough room to work them separately. And then secondly, I feel like, you know, it's a better read. Let me just tape this. Not tape it, but use my clip a bit. So let's get some gesso down. Let's see. Okay, we're 4 minutes in, so we're good. Didn't take too long for me to show you all that, but I wanted to show you again and remind you. So our quote of the day, just any quote that comes up. You can do a quote per page. You could use the same page you could use the same quote all week long. It doesn't matter. Just whatever inspires you or you have found to inspire you in the past. Okay. I like that. I think on this paper, I'm going to put a little bit of, I'm going to get a little bit of color going so that, I want some mark making. So that when I go to use this, I'll have a little bit of pattern on that. So I'm going to put that aside to dry. And while this is drying, we're also going to use some line paper. So a lot of times you'll find she'll have kind of office papers, line papers, ruled papers and stuff in her books. So I have a couple of pieces, different sizes of notebook paper. And I want to stain them. So I have my see what we're going to use. And you know, I'm going to use these too because these papers were already in our pack. So, you know, we're still working with our printables from this month. I really believe in when I do the printables, I like to try to flush them out in a lot of different projects. So, let's see. I just need I'm going to do this on. So I'm going to grab my coffee that I keep here on the table. I just make a batch of it up strong, and then I put a little bit of alcohol in it, rubbing alcohol, you know, so that it can stay fresh. It won't mold or anything when you do that. And let me just grab a tissue, and I'm going to stain right here on the desk. I just put a little bit down and just, you know, zhuzh it around. It's real easy. I like this. Oh, I said a little bit, Robin. Not so much. That's okay. We have this one to do. Okay. So, oh, this one, the cheapo stuff, and even the stuff you get at the dollar store, it's the best because, okay, let's put this over there, let it dry, because it, the color, the ink runs. I like that about it. Just do it like this. So I'm going to just get it all over it and just really sort of get it to run. We don't need to do both sides because we're going to be only writing on one side. So I'll put this down and let it dry. And then we can close this right back up and it's ready for the next time. Easy peasy. And using a tissue like that, you really are actually drying the paper pretty quickly as you go. So this won't take that long to dry. We'll get started on, you know, look, see how it bleeds? It's like actually transferring ink onto this other page. That's what I love about it. The really cheap paper does. I think this paper right here is a little better, and I don't think it's going to actually transfer the same way. Let's see. I'm almost certain it doesn't. But when you get the cheapo dollar store ruled paper, yeah, this doesn't transfer, this ink. It's a little more stable because it was a better brand. It was like for, it's called, this is Green Room Mini Binder. So this one has a better, even though I got it at the Goodwill for 99¢, this was a better paper. So just, you know, you can do different things, different ways. Okay, so I'm going to put this aside and we'll let that dry up. And while we're at it, I have my little stamp here. I'm just going to stamp some stuff. I just like to change things around. Doesn't matter. Change the date. You know, change a word. And then, you know, kind of put them in a few different places. And while this is drying, okay, so just kind of put those over and let it dry. Okay, now bring our book back and let's get started with some basics. So I think what I'm going to do is while we're waiting for things to dry, one more thing I wanted to show you all is let's just take some, I'm going to do some, I was doing writing, sort of the big writing like she does, sort of this Brave on the Rocks, you know, this large style. So I was going to show you how I do it. And we could actually do it on, let's just use some more of this. So I like the color of this even unstained, but we can stain it too. Once it dries, it doesn't matter. I'm just showing you some really quick ways to just kind of make some different papers and just do some different things. So I was also thinking about this idea of living at the top. You know, like if we don't feel like we're living at the top of our day, at the top of our life, at the top of that moment, who is going to? So I don't know, that phrase just came to me while I was working, living at the top. And that top is whatever it is for you, and it's as much emotionally as it is. I'm not so much talking about physical things and material things, but I'm talking about just living at the top of our best emotions, our happiness, our joy, just having the best time, right? And we can call that in every day. It doesn't have to be something where we wait for a major event or something to define that for us. So I think I'm just going to kind of do a little bit of that on here. So what I'm doing is I'm using a watercolor. I'm using a watercolor brush. Because the Sumi ink is water-based, and so it will rinse out your brushes. So any kind of water brush that you have, that this one is round tipped, this one is square. So I was playing around with the round tipped ones, but whatever you have, and then of course our Sumi ink. And you can get some really nice lines here. So this idea of just, hey. I'm just going to kind of write them on here, and then I may, tear them out and then put them in and use them different ways. So we can sort of do this kind of writing. Let that dry. Also, I wrote out the quote, "You are given what you are willing to give away." So I may do bits of that. So any kind of ink that you have. Is really cool. So I wanted to show you all that as a good way to get those nice big bold words. So I'm gonna let that dry, and let's get back over here to our book where we already have some writings. I mean the gesso down. So the same thing. I think I'm just gonna go. Because she kind of, does that. And then using my ink pen, my Quaco, I'm going to sort of write the quote, "You are given what you are willing to give away." So I'm going to do it like that, and then I think I'm just going to kind of, "You are given what you..." And don't judge your handwriting. Don't worry about just you could use the same quote. You can do different quotes. So I'm going to do that kind of thing. Then I'm going to come back with some of our papers, and I want to start gluing some of this stuff on there. So I'm sorry if I'm tearing some papers, but I'm working off of inspiration. So a lot of times when I come to you all and do these videos with you, I haven't already thought everything out and done it all to the letter. I'm coming here with inspiration as well. So some of the processes that I do that may seem tedious if you're just viewing this is because I'm really just trying to keep things fresh and keep them new. So some of that kind of tearing and the noise of it or the me doing it feels a little anticlimactic, don't look at it like that. Just look at it as that I'm sharing you in real time a part of my processes. Okay? And I'm having fun too. I'm trying to have fun right along with you all. Okay, I also pulled out some jelly prints that we're going to use portions of these. So let's just kind of get some stuff down. So now I'm just going to kind of go into intuitive collage. And so I'm just putting some writing pieces down. And I want to come back with using some of this ink because I did like how she had, remember the one I showed you, that white one that had ink sort of dripped down. So we're going to do a little bit of that. And I know I'm going to use this Indian land again because this really hit me when I went to see this. You all know I told you about that. And so I want to kind of keep it as a, well, I know what I'm going to do, as a picture. Because this is a part of my story. I am of German and Native American as well as European Indian descent within the span of my great-grandmother, my grandmothers, and grandfathers. And so part of it sort of always connecting to that part of my, I think I'm going to take and I'm going to use something like, I want things, some graphics in here too. So I think I'm going to take and cut this to include, maybe I'll do it this way, to include sort of these graphic images. Just, you know, like I said, I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm just going with the flow. Just going to be inspired. But living in America, where the narrative was pushed for so long of people of color, or of my skin color as well, into the group of being African American, and when that narrative kind of just gets played out all the time, and you know, as a young person, I didn't have a response to that. I was going along with what everybody else is going along with, you know. But I know within my family structure, that was something. I'm gonna put this back down so I can get more marks. That was something that we often talked about, you know, remembering our ethnicity. And my grandfather was really big on that. He's like, never forget your past, no matter what's being forced upon you, you know. And so, you know, I was always kind of put in the box of African American, and, you know, I'm not, no shade or anything. I mean, you know, whatever, and, you know, because I oftentimes, believe it or not, get criticized by people of color who says, aren't you not proud of your ethnicity? Or, but that's not the point. The point is we all come from, you know, mixed parentage. Now, see, even I put it down there, it probably will cover it up because I'm going to start putting stuff in here. And so I probably will write that again. We come from all kind of mixed, you know, goodness gracious backgrounds, you know, and just to be pushed into a box and then expected that that's the only box you're allowed to have conversations about. I like this red too, so I thought I was going to cut some of this red and use it. It's really unfair. And so a part of my own healing, and especially after this last year, has been for me to actually just reclaim that part of my, or stand up for. I always claimed it, but just stand up for it and like get to know me as a person. Don't just put me in a category and then decide that category is right and then start responding to me from that category. I mean, you know, I'm sure many of you are hearing, you know, where I'm coming from here. So, yeah. So Indian land really spoke to me because it's like, you know, let's allow yourself to claim and be a part of who you are. whatever that may be. So I definitely want to try to get some of this down. So I think I'm going to, it's still a little bit of wet, but it'll be okay. Let's tear this. And this is kind of cool. I know I'm covering up stuff, but I was intending to. But then when you put it down, some of it you'll see through. Some of it you won't. This is going to go there. And then in some of these spaces, I'll write again. Well, this is coming along. Okay. I like this. So put that there. So let's start gluing. Because I still have my larger pieces that I'm going to figure on here some kind of way. I don't know. Okay. Let me glue this down first. I'm going to put that down there. So let's get this down. So yeah, you know, it's a part of healing ourselves and being able to move into our art mythos and tell our stories and figure out what those stories are we even want to tell. Are they authentic stories, or are they just stories we were given? You know, through our cultural connections, through our families connections. And I talk to a lot of people, and those I coach, that are like moving and want to move more and more into the space of their own creative expression and what have you, that realize they got to find what that story is, that the story they've been telling most of their life is not authentic. It's not really who they were, or who they feel they are, who they ever were, and who they really feel they are, right? So it's like having the courage to just reconnect. You know, let's just put that there. Have the courage to say, this is who I am. And so for me, that's a big thing, you know. This is who I am. Just don't automatically assume, because you see a particular skin color, that, you know, and, you know, other features coming together that, you know, well, you must be this, or because I speak English, well, you know, she must be African American versus whatever else. You know, it's just like the time for that is done. And I think, and I hear a lot from so many of my followers, your own individual things that you're just done with, you know, like the time for whatever is over. We're done with that. Okay, I'm gonna leave that there like that. So yeah. So I'm sharing that with you because we're dealing with this kind of concept of, you know, putting things down and telling our stories and all that good stuff. So I love this. Let's put this like right there. And so you can see the writing underneath it, which is really cool. Okay. Okay. So, let me see. We're going to put some more stuff down. I want to definitely put this down. But I kind of want to do that block style. I like that sort of way she kind of puts blocks of color or photographs where she's just kind of overlapping things. So I'm going to overlap that like this. And then taking some tape. Let's start. Minute. Hold up. I've got dirty fingers and my tape is coming off. Like some of the paint is coming off on my tape. I don't really, that look ain't too cute. Let's put that there like that. And same thing here. Okay. Cool, making it happen. And then let me just go down here and grab, let me see, how can I integrate this? Let me think. I think what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to get this stained. Because I think I'm going to want it better, like it better stained. So it all kind of mixes in. I don't think I want it that. Do I want it that white? Because I do kind of like push and pull, but no, I think I want it. Okay, so I think we'll stain this. But let me see, what else do we have here? Okay, let's get a bit of this. Because I want to do, my goal is to do some overlapping, you know. And, oops. So think in terms of that, like our layers. So we're kind of doing another layer here into that photo. So let me just put this down. Okay. Alrighty. So maybe like about there. I like that. And this color goes well with the color in the photo. So we're going to do that like that. And then up here, I'm going to use some more tape. Just to kind of tape off the picture. Sort of like that. And then put some other stuff down. Because I still have the words to do, and then I still want to do some writing in there. So let me move this over. Let's get a little bit more coffee on here. Let me just first, it's still kind of wet right there. Let me just get that off. Okay. Just pour a little bit. Actually, I'll just kind of dip. It's going to kind of, this hasn't had a lot of time to set, so it's going to move the ink around, the black around a little bit, but I'm okay with that. Just a little bit. Kind of just makes it not look so, you know, perfect. Okay. Drop a little. Okay. And we'll let that dry. And I will be back once it's dry, so you don't have to sit here and wait for that. Okay. Okay, I'm back. This is all dried and ready to go. So let's have fun. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of start tearing it. I'm going to kind of fussy tear maybe a little bit so that I can kind of get this in. It's going to be covering stuff up. But that's, you know, that's how it goes. I'm good with that. So this is going to kind of go here. It'd be nice if that page could stay in there some kind of way, but oh. That's going to get cut off. So, let's see. Put it right there. It wasn't paid the last one I did. Yep, I can just stamp again. So we're good. So I'm going to put that there. And like I said, we're covering up stuff, but that's what you do. That's how you get good layering, that's for sure. I know I figured out that much when it comes to collage. And you're building a story too, so don't worry. Just kind of keep on putting things in and, you know. You're just experiencing a particular way of collaging, or maybe, you know, putting your thoughts down. So let's get this here. Kind of want to. Okay, I like that. Oh, I like that. Okay, we're getting somewhere here. Okay. Where's that paid? Yeah, got it anyway. There we go. So I like that. Okay, so at the top, I think also when I really love this, this picture, and having gone there just recently in Palm Springs, and something like that, add, and then there. Let's see. Yeah, and then top will go down in here somewhere. So kind of spreading it around was my thought. Having been to this installation for Desert X in Palm Springs, you know, we talked about that in my travel destinations journaling that we did a few weeks ago. Maybe that's where the living at the top came from, because I love mountains and this mountainscape, and it just, you know, it reminds me to just rise above whatever your current circumstances are. Just rise above, you know, don't let it define us. And we've had one heck of a year that's challenged all of us to not let it define us, but something still rings true to me about, you know, just not letting it define me. You know, some things we have to live, we have to go through. We have family members who have, you know, at the top, haven't prospered or done well. I mean, I have immediate family that has really been through it, and, you know, but for the grace of, you know, because of the grace of God, they are still here, but my goodness, really suffering from long-term disabilities. Some things will never come back for them, you know, as a result of what we all experienced. I'm going to put that down. I think then I'm going to put this over it, because I wanted to put some extra stuff in. So let's just pull some of this out a bit. But, you know, you still kind of have to, some kind of way, find the strength to continue to move forward, right? By no means am I saying it's easy, but some kind of way we have to kind of focus on just trying to live above it all, even if it's just a day-to-day or a moment-to-moment thing. At least that's kind of where I am. So that's what I want to remind myself of in these pages. I'll put this down. So here again, I like to layer also with, you know, transparent or translucent papers. So this is actually some Tim Holtz paper from a long time ago on one of his rolls. But I stain it, and I love the look of it. And I think I'm also going to put this down, because you guys know how much my scripting, how much it means to me. I love it. I don't want to cover up my little red line. At the top, we'll go here. And I think I'm going to put this down here. So let's get that down now so I can place. This is coming along. It's squeaking along. I tell you, I had no idea what I'm going to put down here. I wanted to challenge myself to this style of, you know, collaging with language, because it's not something I do. Though I love it, I really don't, you know, do it a lot. Hardly at all. Every now and, I mean, I have over the years challenged myself to this style, but it's still very new, very experimental for me. And I like to press myself and experiment with new things. Those of you who are following me over on Patreon, you know that about me. I'm always going to come to the video challenging myself to something new, doing it in front of you guys, not necessarily having it all figured out, but just being willing to try it and do something, you know, that's different and not all pre-planned and, you know, figured out to the maximum and all that. That's just honestly no fun for me. I like the idea of turning on the video and just figuring out what's going to happen. I'm trying to keep that little hole there. I like that little hole. Okay, and I want to keep my swoosh there too, so living at the top. Okay, I like that. So let's get that down. And we know we've got all kind of underwriting there, so we can still see a bit of that. Some of what I covered up, we can still see underneath some of the more translucent pieces. And even if it's completely covered, that's okay too, because we know, you know, that it's there. So that's also kind of a part of the journey. Some things are secret, some things are kept hidden, some things we say we don't necessarily want it to be so public, right? So it's all a part of the journaling. Journaling to me is a part of our own, it's a dialogue, right? And you can dialogue any way you want. So, okay. I like. I did have this little piece that I kind of wanted to stick in somewhere. Like I'm sorry if I'm a little off frame here. So I think I'm gonna put this in right there. Just to add a little bit more interest here at the bottom, like right there. I like that. And this is just from bits and pieces, you know, collage pieces from other projects. But we don't want it stuck. Okay. Alrighty. Oh, that's good. Okay, so let's... Okay, sorry. Everything is so sticky from gluing. Okay, let's see. Living at the top. Let's take a look at this. Oh, I gotta cut this off. I like it. I like. So I wrote being willing to give away. I think that's such an important part of that whole thing for me. It's just being willing to give away. And then I know over the last year, you know, just me wanting to come, you know, like I just love coming before you guys and just sharing the things that I enjoy. And so many of you have written back to me and just share with me how much it's meant to you. And that really has warmed my spirit, because you guys being here over the last year has meant so much to me. For me to have a community that I can share things with has just been huge. So I just love and thank you all so much for being a part of this journey over this past year, as much as you feel that I've been here for you. And I think that's a part of us giving away freely, right? Just, you know, what you're willing to give away comes back. And that sense of community has definitely come back, and I feel the richer for it. So yeah, so let me see, I'm gonna put right here too, living, I'm gonna print this at the top. So yeah, we can just, you know, and also, you know, I could deal with the idea of that, you know, so just kind of wrote some of what I just said there. Just having this incredible community has just been so awesome this year. So yeah, just like putting these thoughts down in all the little random places we can find. And you guys don't know, when I first started and was, you know, coming on YouTube, I really had a lot of trepidation, because I love the kind of art that I did, and I had accepted myself as an artist and my style, and, you know, like I'd get so excited. But I thought, well, are people going to really like the work that you do, Robin? And I'm like, are people going to be relate to? People probably won't like it. Don't think I didn't have my doubts. Honestly, I did, and my own trepidations. And then also just sort of judging, you know, like, you know, what a lot of this style, like, you know, I love Asian writing, but you're seeing a person, hands of color here, and, you know, like, what people, like, think that I was being inauthentic and all that kind of stuff. And you know what? I just moved through that. And you guys have just sent me so much love, and we have such an incredibly beautiful community here, and we just have so many similar loves that, you know, so sometimes it's just, I'm up here talking and pulling at things. Because, you know, I got my little, I have my bits and pieces that are my fragments. And I kind of just want to put a fragment down. I have this circle here that's in gold. Let's just put this down. So I think I'll put it right here. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, and you all have come to hang out with me and love on me. And as much as I'm loving on you, you guys are loving on me. And I'm telling you, it's just really incredible. So yeah. You know, our journeys are our journeys, right? And I can't thank you guys enough. So I just wanted to take the time to tell you since I'm ripping my thing and since we're having an expressive moment, I thought it was a good time just to tell you how much you all mean to me as well. Okay. Oh, that's good. So it gave me another transparent layer in this little area here, but we can still see my away. And so I think I'm done. I like this. So I'm going to continue over the next several spreads to work like this. We're going to push in Patreon and just really push into more of this. And also this style would be fun to do some of that into this. It doesn't have to be, the whole thing doesn't have to be like that. But what a fun style to maybe push into the book we're doing, even in certain areas, right? Or because we have pockets, maybe you'll just work separate sheets of paper like this that you can do maybe as tuck cards or as, what are they, tags? You know, you could do tags like this and then you could stick them in your book. So, you know, and maybe use this book as an opportunity to share a lot of the different styles that we're going to be working on moving forward, as well as some of the ones we've already done in the past. You know, you can do them as journal cards, tuck cards, or right on the pages. So it doesn't all have to be this. I wanted to do a book structure just as a bonus over here so that you can have other stuff to work in besides your journal, or have other, you know, just other ideas about book structures. So it's kind of open to do what you want to do. But I'm loving this. So I think we're done. Yeah. So thank you guys for another Saturday hangout. Love you all so much. And yeah, it's quote of the day. That's week 21, and I think that's the last 21. Yeah, that's the third 7. So we're at the end of this type of inspiration using word with images, and we're going to be moving on to our 4th set of 7s, which kind of is always a transitional place that we're going to be going. So next week we'll be going in another curve, but we are going to be sewing this together. And yeah, continue to work. All right. Love you all. Have a great rest of your day. Please thumb the video up if you enjoyed it. If you're new to my channel, hit the little bell to subscribe and hit all so that you get the notifications. And I'm looking over here. I forgot to use this. There's no place for it now. Like I had this idea about using this. You know what? We're going to make it happen. Sorry. Just real quick, I see a place to put it. Okay, I like to crunch it up. Just because I wanted brown paper on here. It all got all covered up. Plus, I don't like to do something and then not show you all, so you're like, I wonder what she was ever going to do with that. So let's just get a bit of this. I'm going to take that off. Kind of want to get this edge here. I'm just going to use a strip of it. Just to kind of put in over here where I feel like it could use a little something. All right. I'm going to cover my hole because that was the whole point of having that. So, yeah, there we go. Perfect. Put that down. Just a little bit. I have more for my other spreads though. So we'll be seeing more of this. But I like that here because it kind of finishes this corner off that wasn't quite finished in my mind. So perfect. Alrighty. Oh yeah, I like that. Wow, that line really balances off the boldness of that living. Okay, alrighty. I'm gone this time for real. Love you all. See you next week. Bye-bye.